I've been a ghost in the machine for 9 months. That's the truth of working in a tower owned by Silas Thorne. You learn to exist only in data points, present but silenced. My mind tracks billions that gleam in digital ledgers I can never access. I process transfers smoother than any silk I've ever touched, and calculate risk that costs more than my entire future. The Thorne Tower looms over lower Manhattan, all reinforced glass, brushed steel, and security clearances that could start a small war. Silas Thorne himself is a fortress I've learned to anticipate. I hear his voice in the boardroom, measured, deliberate, and know the bottom line is about to drop. I catch glimpses of him through the panoramic glass, dark hair perfectly styled, expensive suits that fit like a second skin, and eyes the color of iced steel that never quite land on me. He holds meetings in his private office with men who speak in low voices and leave through secured elevators. I clean up after them, shredding documents that smell of power and collecting abandoned spreadsheets still warm from his touch. I don't ask questions. That's not my job. My job is to be an asset. The only reason I endure this carefully ordered existence is Lyra. My sister is the vulnerable light in my life, 25 years old, with my mother's recklessness and none of my control. She works at a simple coffee shop, unaware of the Krylov syndicate's shadow closing in. I work the extra audits when they're offered because I need every dollar. Because $80,000 owed to a Russian syndicate doesn't disappear on its own. Because I signed away my old life as a journalist and accepted interest rates that are now destroying us. So I track, I calculate, I remain silent, and accept the risk without complaint. Thursday night, the digital clock on my terminal flashes 10 o'clock as I finish the quarterly review. My fingers ache from data entry in the secure server, and my shoulders protest when I lean back to check my encrypted phone. My last text status check on Lyra was 3 hours ago. Silence is a debt I can't afford. The notification arrives at 10:47 p.m., not from Lyra's number, from an unknown contact with a single attachment and 3 lines of text in Russian that my translation app renders cold and clinical. Your debt is due, new terms, 24 hours. The image loads slowly, pixel by agonizing pixel. Lyra, bound to a metal chair in what looks like a warehouse, duct tape across her mouth, terror bright in her wide eyes. A newspaper is visible in the frame, today's date circled in red marker. Behind her, a figure in shadow holds something to her temple. The timestamp reads 9:15 p.m., an hour and a half ago. My hand shakes so violently I nearly drop the phone. The secured office around me blurs, all the polished surfaces and locked filing cabinets spinning into irrelevance. Everything I've built here, every careful step to remain invisible, shatters in the span of 3 seconds. A second message arrives. Account 4782 Thorne Sigma. Full access credentials, $150,000 wire to coordinates provided, midnight Friday, come alone or she dies screaming. They're not just collecting the debt anymore. They're demanding I betray Silas Thorne, breach his most protected financial vault, and hand them leverage that could destroy his entire operation. Account Sigma is his ghost fund, the one that finances operations that can never see daylight. I've seen the designation in passing, always encrypted, always isolated from the main network. The third message is just a countdown timer. 23 hours and 13 minutes. I stare at the screen until my vision doubles. Every instinct I honed as a journalist screams that this is a territorial play, a calculated strike designed to hurt Thorne through me. The Krylov syndicate has been testing his boundaries for months. Now they've found the weak point. Me.
I have one advantage.
I know this system better than anyone, except Thorne himself. For 9 months, I've navigated every legitimate pathway, memorized every protocol, learned which servers respond to which credentials. If I can access Sigma without triggering the alerts, I can buy Lyra's life with data Thorne will never know is missing. It's a lie I almost believe. At 11:30 p.m., I'm still in the office. The floor is deserted, just security making rounds every 40 minutes. I route through my terminal to the auxiliary server, using my clearance to probe the edges of the Sigma vault. The encryption is military grade, rotating every 6 hours, requiring biometric confirmation and a physical keycard I don't possess. I try the back door I discovered 3 months ago during a system audit, a gap in the firewall that exists for exactly 4 seconds during automatic backup protocols. My fingers fly across the keyboard, writing code that shouldn't work, exploiting a vulnerability that might not still exist. The screen flashes red, access denied, attempt logged. Panic floods my throat. I kill the connection, wipe my terminal history, and sit frozen as footsteps echo down the corridor. Security passes without stopping, but my heart hammers against my ribs. The system logged me. Somewhere in Thorne's surveillance network, an alert just fired. I check my phone. 22:31 remaining. I've wasted an hour and gained nothing except a digital trail leading straight to my workstation.
Friday morning arrives with the weight of a death sentence. I haven't slept. I've run every scenario, played out every desperate option. I could run, take what cash I have and disappear, but the Krylov syndicate has Lyra. They have resources that span continents. Running means watching my sister die in real time through photographs sent to taunt me. I arrive at the office at 7 a.m., 2 hours early, moving on autopilot. The tower feels different today, hostile, like the walls themselves are watching. I pour coffee I can't taste and open files I can't focus on. The countdown on my phone reads 17:4500. At 8:30, Thorne's assistant appears at my cubicle. "Mr. Thorne wants to see you. Now." The walk to his office stretches into eternity. Every step is a countdown of its own. He knows. The system flagged my breach attempt, and Silas Thorne doesn't tolerate security risks. I'll be erased before lunch, vanished into the same machinery that processes his enemies. His office occupies the top floor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city like an emperor surveying his domain. Thorne stands with his back to me, hands clasped behind him, perfectly still. When he speaks, his voice is cold enough to freeze blood. "Elara, close the door." I obey, my legs barely supporting my weight. He doesn't turn. Last night at 11:47 p.m., someone attempted to breach the Sigma vault using your credentials. They failed, but not before triggering 3 separate alarms. Now he turns, and his eyes are exactly as I've always known them. Ice and calculation, missing nothing. "You're going to tell me why." The lie I prepared dies in my throat. I see Lyra's face, the duct tape, the countdown ticking toward 0. I see the man who could save her or destroy us both with equal ease. "My sister," I whisper. "They took my sister." If you can't stand people who use innocent lives as leverage to steal what isn't theirs, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. Type, "Nobody deserves that." Because what happened next only got worse.
Thorne doesn't move, doesn't blink. For 10 seconds, he simply stares at me with those Arctic eyes, and I wonder if this is what prey feels like in the moment before the predator strikes. "Explain," he says. One word, a command that brooks no evasion. So I do. I tell him everything. The debt I inherited when Lyra's boyfriend ran up gambling losses with the wrong people. The interest that compounded faster than I could earn. The 9 months of payments that still left me $80,000 short. The kidnapping. The ransom demand. The 24-hour deadline that's now down to 16/23/00. I show him the photograph, watch his expression harden into something darker than anger. When he finishes, the silence in his office is suffocating. "The Krylov syndicate," he says, finally, his voice deadly quiet. "Viktor Krylov personally authorized this? I don't know. The messages were anonymous, but the debt is with them." Thorne turns back to the window, his jaw working. "They didn't just take your sister, Ms. Vane. They attacked my organization, used you to probe my defenses, demanded access to accounts that could expose operations worth hundreds of millions of dollars." He's not speaking to me anymore. He's calculating, assembling pieces on a chessboard I can't see. This isn't collection. This is war. My legs give out. I sink into the chair behind me, all the adrenaline draining at once. "I'm sorry. I'll resign. I'll disappear. Just please, don't. You will do nothing." Thorne's voice cuts through my spine like a blade. He turns, and for the first time since I've known him, I see something other than cold control in his face. Fury. Pure, focused rage that makes my apology seem pathetic by comparison. Viktor Krylov thinks he can reach into my house and take what's mine? He thinks he can threaten one of my people and I'll what, negotiate? He crosses to his desk, presses a button on his phone. "Cassian, my office. Now." The wait lasts 30 seconds. When the door opens, a man I've seen in passing enters, Cassian Volkov, Thorne's head of security, built like a boxer with the dead eyes of someone who's seen every way a human can break. He takes one look at me, then at Thorne, and his expression doesn't change. "Viktor Krylov took Ms. Vane's sister. He's demanding ransom and access to Sigma. He has until midnight tonight." Cassian's eyes narrow. "How did he—" "Through her. Through someone I've trusted with my financials for 9 months. Thorne's gaze locks on me, and I see the terrible arithmetic happening behind those cold eyes. Someone I should have protected better. The last sentence lands like a physical blow. Protected. As if I'm not just an employee, but something more. Something that belongs in his sphere of control. Thorne moves to the window again, staring out at the city that sprawls below his tower like a kingdom awaiting orders. When he speaks, his voice carries the weight of absolute authority. "You have 24 hours to bring her back alive," he says. "Not to me, but to the city itself, to Viktor Krylov wherever he's hiding, to everyone who thought they could challenge him. You have 24 hours to bring her back alive. After that, I dismantle everything you've built, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but a lesson." Cassian's expression doesn't change, but I catch the slight nod, the acknowledgement of an order that's just been burned into stone. "Sir," I manage, my voice breaking, "she's just my sister. She's not worth—"
She's yours. Thorne turns, and the fury in his face has crystallized into something colder and infinitely more dangerous. He crosses to Cassian, speaks in rapid-fire Russian I can't follow. Cassian nods, pulls out his phone, starts typing. Within seconds, I hear the faint buzz of incoming messages, the machinery of Thorne's organization coming alive. Miss Vane, his attention swings back to me. You're going to tell Cassian everything you know about the Krylov Syndicate's operation. Every contact point, every payment location, every weakness you observed in 9 months of covering your sister's debt. Then you're going to sit in this office and wait. Wait for what? His smile is razor-thin and utterly without warmth. For Viktor Krylov to realize he just made the worst mistake of his life.
The next 2 hours are chaos, orchestrated with surgical precision. Cassian turns Thorne's conference room into a war room, screens lighting up with maps, surveillance feeds, and contact lists that span the entire eastern seaboard. Men in expensive suits arrive through private elevators, each one radiating the same lethal competence as Cassian. No one questions why I'm there. Thorne's presence is explanation enough. I tell them everything. The warehouse in Red Hook where I made payments, the enforcer named Dmitri who collected, the rumors of a safe house in Brighton Beach, the encrypted phone number that only responded between 9 p.m. and midnight. Cassian absorbs it all, assigns teams with hand signals and terse commands in Russian and English that blur together. Thorne stands at the head of the table, silent, a conductor letting his orchestra tune themselves before the performance begins. When Cassian finishes the preliminary deployment, Thorne finally speaks. Full lockdown protocol. I want every entry and exit point in this city monitored. Airports, ports, train stations, bridges, tunnels. If Krylov's people try to move the girl, I want to know before they turn the ignition. A man to his left, older, with silver hair and a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, leans forward. That's a lot of visibility, Silas. The feds will notice. Let them. Thorne's voice is flat. Victor chose to make this public the moment he took her. Now everyone gets to watch what happens when you challenge me on my territory. The man nods, makes a call. Within minutes, I hear reports filtering back. Teams deploying to JFK, LaGuardia, Newark. Harbor Patrol being encouraged to inspect every vessel over 20 feet. Transit police receiving anonymous tips about suspicious activity on Metro North lines. It's not subtle. It's not meant to be. Thorne is turning Manhattan into a cage. Cassian? Thorne says quietly. Time. 13:15 remaining, sir. Thorne checks his watch. A gesture so casual that it takes me a moment to register the violence beneath it. He's not worried. He's excited. If you believe loyalty should be earned through protection, not fear, hit that subscribe button. People like Viktor Krylov won't, and you need to hear what happened when Silas Thorne decided to remind the city who really owns it. By noon, the city starts to feel the pressure. I watch it unfold on the news feeds streaming across the conference room screens. Traffic gridlocked at tunnel checkpoints, flights delayed due to security concerns, a suspicious fire in a warehouse in Red Hook that draws every emergency vehicle in Brooklyn. It's all connected, all orchestrated, all Thorne. Cassian's phone rings constantly. He answers in monosyllables, relays information to Thorne with military efficiency. Team 3 found the payment location, abandoned 2 hours ago. They left a message. Thorne's expression doesn't change. Show me. The image that appears on the main screen makes my stomach turn. The warehouse wall, spray-painted in Russian. She dies at midnight unless you deliver. I expect Thorne to react, to show some crack in his armor. Instead, he smiles. It's the most terrifying expression I've ever seen. They're still in the city, he says, almost pleased. They think they can outlast the siege. Cassian, expand the grid. Every building over 10,000 square feet. I want thermal scans, entry logs, utility usage. Find me anomalies. That's half of Brooklyn and Queens, sir. Then you'd better work fast. I watched them operate with the sick fascination of someone witnessing a natural disaster. This is Silas Thorne unrestrained, the man I've only seen in glimpses through the careful veneer of legitimacy. He's not just searching for Lyra, he's making an example. By the time this is over, every criminal organization on the East Coast seaboard will know what it costs to challenge him. My phone buzzes. Another message from the unknown number. The more noise you make, the faster she dies. Call off your dogs. I show it to Thorne. He reads it, hands the phone back. Reply. Tell them I'm just getting started.
At 2 p.m., Thorne turns to me with an expression that's almost curious. Ms. Vane, you were a journalist before you came to work for me. Investigative, correct? Yes, I manage, thrown by the sudden shift. I covered financial crimes and corruption. Then you have contacts, people who owe you favors, sources who trust you. He gestures to an empty workstation. Use them. Call in every debt. I need eyes where my people can't reach. It takes me a moment to understand what he's offering. Access to his communications hub, his intelligence network, his resources. He's turning me from a liability into an asset. I sit down at the terminal, my hands shaking as I pull up my old contact list. Names I haven't called in 9 months. People from my previous life who might still remember me. I start with Maria, a paralegal in Brooklyn, who feeds tips to journalists for pocket money. Then David, a transit worker with a photographic memory for faces. Then Rachel, who runs a community center in Brighton Beach and knows every family in the Russian immigrant community. Each call is the same. I need help. It's urgent, life or death. They hear something in my voice, or maybe they hear the authority bleeding through from Thorne's operations surrounding me, because no one refuses. By 4 p.m., I have a network operating parallel to Cassian's official teams, civilians looking for a young woman matching Lyra's description, community leaders asking careful questions, building superintendents checking their basements and unused units. It's messier than Thorne's operation, but it's faster and less visible. At 5:30 p.m., Rachel calls back. There's a building on Ocean Avenue. Owner is Russian, known Krylov associate. Rented out the top floor 3 days ago. Cash, no questions. Hasn't been seen since. I relay it to Cassian. He's already mobilizing before I finish the address. Thorne watches me work with that same calculating expression, and I realize what I've become in the span of 8 hours. Not just an employee, not just a victim, a partner
in whatever terrible machine he's building.
At 9 p.m., my phone rings. Viktor Krylov himself, his voice smooth and urbane, the accent barely noticeable. "Miss Vane, you've made this unnecessarily complicated." I look at Thorne. He nods, activating the trace on the call. "I took your sister," I say, forcing steel into my voice. "What did you expect?" "I expected you to be reasonable, to understand business. Instead, you've turned this into a war." He sounds almost regretful. Thorne is destroying half the city to find one insignificant girl. Why? "Because she's mine," Thorne says, taking the phone from my hand, putting it on speaker. The silence on the line stretches for 3 seconds. Then Viktor laughs, low and genuinely amused. "Silas Thorne, the rumors are true then. You've gone soft over a bookkeeper and her sister." "Location, Viktor, now, or I dismantle every operation you have in this city. I've already shut down 3 of your import channels. Your real estate fronts are being audited by the IRS. Your protection rackets are finding police on every corner. Give me the girl, and maybe I let you leave with something intact." "And if I refuse?" Thorne's expression doesn't change. "Then I make you a lesson that lasts generations." The call ends. Cassian looks up from his computer. "We got him. Signal triangulated to a yacht docked at the Chelsea piers. Registry shows ownership under a shell company. Krylov front." Thorne stands, buttoning his suit jacket with mechanical precision. "How many men on site?" "Unknown. Could be anywhere from 3 to 20. Take 40. I want overwhelming force. No negotiation, no warnings." He turns to me, and for the first time since this started, his expression softens by a fraction. "Stay here. If this goes wrong, Cassian has instructions to get you out of the country." "I'm going with you," I hear myself say. "Absolutely not. She's my sister." I stand, meeting those ice-cold eyes with something that might be courage or might be insanity. For a long moment, Thorne simply stares at me. Then he nods once. "Stay behind Cassian. Do exactly what he says. If shooting starts, you hit the ground and don't move until it's over. Comment loyalty if you're Team Elara. Viktor's greed can't win. Now watch what happens when she finally stops running and starts fighting back." The yacht is luxury gone to seed. All polished teak and brass fixtures that gleam in the harbor lights. Cassian's teams move with silent precision, surrounding the vessel from 3 directions, while harbor patrol blocks the water exit. Thorne walks up the gangway like he's arriving for a dinner party, me 3 steps behind him, Cassian flanking my left. We find Viktor on the main deck, seated in a leather chair, Lyra bound beside him. She's alive, eyes wide with terror, but alert. Relief crashes through me so hard I nearly collapse. Viktor spreads his hands in mock welcome. "Silas, you came yourself. I'm honored." "Release her," Thorne says. His voice carried none of the fury from earlier. Now he's cold, clinical, the man I first met 9 months ago. "We settle this like professionals." "Professionals?" Viktor laughs. "You've locked down an entire city over one girl. That's not professional, Silas. That's personal. That's weak." "It's a demonstration," Thorne corrects. "Everyone watching this, and make no mistake, everyone is watching, learns a very simple lesson. When you take from me, I take everything from you. Your operations are finished, Viktor. I've spent the day dismantling them. Now, I'm offering you a choice. Give me the girl and leave the city with your life, or die here, and I distribute what's left of your organization to whoever wants the scraps. Victor's smile fades. Around us, I hear the subtle sounds of weapons being readied. Cassian's teams have the yacht completely surrounded, professional soldiers facing off against Victor's handful of enforcers. "You'd start a war over this?" Victor demands. Standing, "I'd end one." Thorne's voice drops to something barely above a whisper, more terrifying than any shout. "I've already won, Victor. The question is whether you're smart enough to accept it." For 5 seconds, the world balances on a razor's edge. Then Victor nods to his men. "Cut her loose." Lyra stumbles forward, and I catch her, both of us sinking to the deck in a tangle of relief and tears. Over her shoulder, I watched Thorne step forward, never taking his eyes off Victor.
"You have 1 hour to be out of the city," Thorne says quietly. "After that, you're a memory." Victor leaves without another word, his men following, the yacht clearing in minutes. Cassian's teams remain in position until they're gone, then finally stand down. The siege, I realize, is over. Thorne turns to me, and for just a moment the mask slips. I see exhaustion, the cost of the fury he has maintained for 16 hours. Then it's gone, replaced with that cold control. "Are you hurt?" he asks Lyra, professional and distant. She shakes her head, mute with shock. "Get her medical attention," he tells Cassian. "Full workup, then protective detail for the next month. No one approaches her without clearance." He looks at me. The debt is settled, both to Krylov and to me. You're done running. I want to argue, to tell him I can handle my own problems, but the words die as I see the truth in his eyes. I was never handling this alone. I was sinking, and too proud to ask for the only lifeline that could reach me. "Thank you," I whisper. Thorne nods once, then walks away, already on his phone issuing orders to dismantle the siege as efficiently as he built it. By dawn, the checkpoints will be gone, the traffic will flow, and the city will wake to news reports speculating about what really happened. No one will know the truth except those who were there. That one man turned Manhattan into a fortress because someone took something that belonged to him. That Silas Thorne doesn't negotiate. He doesn't compromise. He conquers. And I realize, standing on that yacht with my sister safe in my arms, that I've stopped being Elara Vane, the ghost in the machine. I'm something else now. Something that exists in Silas Thorne's orbit, not as a secret, but as a fact. Someone he protects with the same absolute certainty he applies to everything else. Someone who belongs to the most dangerous man in the city. The siege is over, but my life in the shadows, that ended the moment I let him see me break.